The rain was hammering the windshield so hard it sounded like God was drumming on it. My husband, Luke, gripped the steering wheel like he was trying to strangle it. The wipers screeched back and forth, fighting to keep up with the storm. He hadn't said a word for 30 miles, and I'd stopped trying. You can feel when someone's decided to hate you. It hangs in the air, thicker than the rain. I watched his jaw tighten, that muscle pulsing like a warning light. "You know what your problem is, Diana?" he said finally, his voice sharp enough to cut glass. "You think money makes you untouchable." I turned toward him slowly, my voice calm. "No, Luke, I think you think control makes you a man." That's when he slammed the brakes. The car fishtailed, gravel spraying across the empty mountain road. I clutched the door handle, the seatbelt biting into my shoulder. "Get out," he said, almost casually. My pulse spiked. "What?" "You heard me. Out. It's raining. Then maybe you'll cool off." He leaned over, popped the door open, and smirked. "You need a lesson in humility." For a few seconds, I just stared at him. His eyes were blank, like he wasn't even seeing me anymore. I'd seen flashes of cruelty before, but this was new. "You're serious?" "Dead serious." He gestured toward the road. "Go ahead, walk. 37 miles to town. Think about everything you've done while you're at it." Lightning cracked overhead, illuminating his face for half a second. And I saw it, the satisfaction. He wanted this. He wanted to see me break. So I didn't argue. I unbuckled, stepped into the downpour, and shut the door behind me. The car engine revved, tires spinning on the wet asphalt, and then he was gone, red taillights fading into blackness. The rain soaked me instantly, cold and relentless. My hair stuck to my face, mascara streaking down my cheeks. My breath came out in white clouds. Somewhere in the distance, thunder rolled like laughter. I took a slow breath, straightened my coat, and started walking. Every step felt like defiance. If he thought this would humiliate me, he'd forgotten who I was before I married him. I used to handle million-dollar accounts, negotiate with CEOs who'd eat people like Luke alive. I'd built myself once. I could do it again. 10 minutes in, headlights cut through the darkness behind me. For a split second, I thought Luke had come back. But no, the vehicle was too big. A black truck slowed beside me, tires crunching on gravel. The window rolled down. "Mrs. Walker?" The voice was deep, familiar. My pulse jumped. "Ryan?" He nodded once, rain dripping from the brim of his cap. "My bodyguard. Well, technically ex-bodyguard, since Luke had insisted I didn't need security anymore." I stared at him through the storm, half relieved, half furious. "How did you find me?" "GPS tracker. Your phone pinged from the range road turnoff." He reached across to open the door. "Get in." I hesitated. Part of me wanted to keep walking, to prove I could survive this on my own. But the storm was growing fiercer, and Ryan's steady gaze said he wasn't taking no for an answer. I slid into the passenger seat, shivering as the heater blasted warm air. "You always did have timing," I muttered. He smiled slightly. "Timing's my job, ma'am." "Don't call me ma'am. I'm freezing, not ancient." He chuckled under his breath. "Yes, ma'am." We drove in silence for a while, the sound of rain hammering the roof like applause. Finally, I said, "You know he left me out there on purpose?" "Yeah," Ryan said quietly. "I saw him drive off. He didn't look back." My throat tightened. He said I needed a lesson. Ryan's jaw clenched. Guess he's about to learn his own. I glanced at him. "You still loyal to him?" "My contract was with you before he canceled it. My loyalty hasn't changed." The way he said it, steady, sure, made something twist inside me. For the first time in months, I felt safe. That was dangerous. By the time we reached the old cabin halfway up the ridge, I was trembling, soaked, exhausted. Ryan helped me inside, lit a fire, handed me a blanket. I sat by the flames, watching steam rise from my clothes. "Why'd you really follow me, Ryan?" I asked after a minute. "Because I knew he'd do something stupid," he said simply. "And because you don't deserve to be treated like that." His words landed heavier than I expected. The room fell quiet except for the crackling fire. I could feel his eyes on me, protective but unreadable. And in that silence, a dangerous thought flickered. Maybe Luke's cruelty was the last push I needed to stop pretending. I stared into the flames and saw memories flash. The first time Luke belittled me in front of his friends, the business dinners where he introduced me as just the wife, the way he'd tighten his hand on my arm when I disagreed in public. The pattern was always the same: control, isolation, punishment. I'd built my world around keeping peace, walking on glass just to survive. But tonight changed everything. When I finally spoke, my voice was steady. He thinks he's untouchable because of the trust fund, the company, his daddy's name. But Luke forgets something. Everything's in my name now. Ryan's brow furrowed. Come again? I smiled faintly. A little paperwork shuffle before Christmas. He signed over control without realizing it. Too busy showing off to his buddies to read the fine print. Ryan gave a low whistle. Remind me never to get on your bad side. Too late, I said with a smirk. You already work for me. Outside, the storm raged. Inside, I was calm for the first time in months. The woman he tried to break in the rain was gone. What he created instead was someone who no longer feared losing him. I only feared what I might do when I finally had the upper hand. The next morning, Luke showed up at my house with police. He claimed I'd stolen from him. What he didn't know, I had the receipts, the footage, and a witness who'd blow his story wide open. By the time Luke showed up at the house, I was already 3 steps ahead. The sun was barely up, light spilling over the valley like a false promise. I stood by the glass wall of the living room, mug of coffee in hand, when I saw his silver Range Rover roll up the drive with flashing red and blue lights behind it. 2 patrol cars. Overkill, but that was Luke's style. Loud, dramatic, all for show. Ryan stood beside me, jaw tight. You want me to handle this? He asked quietly. I shook my head. No, let him come. He wants an audience? I'll give him one. My pulse didn't race, it thrummed slow and steady. Rage has a way of focusing you. I stepped outside as he slammed his door, fake concern plastered across his face. Diana, he said, spreading his arms like he was some benevolent husband. I didn't want it to come to this, but you left me no choice. I tilted my head. Is that right? You stole my company accounts, my car, my money. Correction, I cut in. I reclaimed what's legally mine. You should try reading the contracts you sign when you're sober. His face twitched, but he played his part for the cops. Officers, she's been unstable. She disappeared last night, sent threatening messages. Really? I asked sweetly, pulling my phone from my coat pocket. I opened the screen, hit play, and let the audio fill the air. His voice, clear as day. You need a lesson in humility. One of the officers blinked. Glancing between us, I kept going. Get out, Diana. Walk. Think about what you've done. I let it play a few seconds longer before stopping it. Sound familiar, Luke? Because it sounds a lot like a man abandoning his wife in the middle of a thunderstorm 37 miles from home. He froze. The cops shifted uncomfortably. One of them looked at me. Ma'am, is this true? I smiled, cool and calm. You tell me, officer. I've got timestamps, dashcam footage, GPS logs, and witnesses who saw him speed away. He tried to laugh it off, but it came out strained. She's twisting things. She's manipulative. Projecting again. Classic narcissist behavior. The taller cop muttered something into his radio, then turned back to Luke. Sir, we're going to need to ask you a few questions. Luke's expression cracked, just a flicker, but I saw it. The panic. The dawning realization that I wasn't bluffing. I leaned in close enough for only him to hear. Lessons over, sweetheart. Class dismissed. They didn't arrest him, not yet, but they escorted him off the property while taking notes. As soon as his car disappeared down the drive,
I exhaled for the first time in hours. Ryan looked impressed. You just dismantled him in under 10 minutes. I've had practice, I said softly. Then my phone buzzed again. A text from Marla. You'll want to see this. Meet at the office ASAP. An hour later, I was in Marla's glass-walled office downtown, the view of Denver's skyline glinting in the distance. She slid a folder across the table, her red nails clicking against the wood. Your husband's been busy. Offshore accounts, hidden transfers, fake charities. He's laundering through a tech startup registered under his assistant's name. I flipped through the pages, the evidence laid out like a confession. He really thought I wouldn't find this? Marla smirked. Men like him always underestimate women like you. They mistake silence for weakness. I nodded slowly. He's not getting away with this. I'm taking him down legally, financially, and emotionally. When I got back to the mountain house, Ryan was waiting with a file of his own. Photos, timestamps, a flash drive. What's this? I asked. Security footage from last month. You might want to sit down. He plugged the drive into the TV, and the video rolled. There was Luke, on our back patio, whispering into his phone. She's on to me. I'll handle it before she does. Then my stomach dropped. He mentioned a name. Lance. My ex. The one man I swore I'd never see again. You gotta be kidding me, I muttered. He paused the video.
You think they're working together? No, I said bitterly. I think Luke hired him. That night, the house felt too quiet. Every creak in the floor sounded like a threat. I sat by the fire again, scrolling through the files Marla had given me, piecing together the financial web Luke had spun. Every dollar he stole, every false signature, it all led back to one purpose: burying me before I could expose him. I stared into the flames until my vision blurred. The betrayal burned hotter than the fire itself. I'd given that man years of loyalty, stood by him through every scandal, every storm, every humiliation, and his payback was to destroy me. Around midnight, headlights flashed outside. I stiffened, heart hammering. Ryan appeared seconds later, hand on his holster. Stay here, he said, moving toward the door. But before he could reach it, a familiar voice called out from the dark. It's me. Marla. She stepped in, soaked from the rain, clutching a folder. He's not just hiding money, Diana, she said breathlessly. He's hiding crimes, real ones. She tossed the papers on the table, photos of invoices, fake employees, shell donations. He's been using his company to funnel money for illegal deals. If this goes public, he's done. I stared at the evidence, adrenaline surging. So what do we do? Marla grinned. We play dirty, but legally. She leaned in, voice low. We set him up to confess. You've got the bodyguard, the cameras, and the leverage. Let's make him talk. I met Ryan's eyes. He nodded once. I'll handle the logistics. The plan formed fast. The next evening, Luke got an anonymous message. Meet me at the mountain house. We need to talk, alone. He'd think it was me. He always came running when he thought he could win. Narcissists crave the stage. I set the cameras in place, every room, every angle, hidden but live. Ryan monitored from the control room downstairs. Marla prepped the legal trap. And me? I got dressed for war. When he arrived, he didn't knock. He stormed in like he still owned the place. Diana, he barked. I stood in the living room, a glass of wine in hand, calm and deliberate. You wanted to talk? He scoffed. You think this little stunt's gonna scare me? You're in over your head. Funny, I said, sipping my wine. That's exactly what your investors said when I told them about the missing funds. His face drained of color. You wouldn't... Already did. I gestured toward the coffee table where documents lay spread out. Photocopies of every fraudulent transfer, every offshore wire. That's just a preview. I sent the originals to the DA's office this morning. For the first time, I saw it. The mask slipping, the arrogance melting into fear. You don't know what you've started, he hissed. This'll ruin everything. Good.
I said coldly. That's the point. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. You think that bodyguard of yours can protect you forever? My blood chilled. You've been watching me? Oh, sweetheart, he said, his smile venomous. You have no idea how deep this goes. And then he said something that made my stomach drop. You didn't think I'd hire someone without strings, did you? My mind raced, disbelief twisting into rage. I turned toward the monitor where Ryan's feed flickered. That true? Silence. Then Ryan's voice, steady but haunted. I used to work for him. Before I knew what he was. And now, I demanded. Now, he said quietly, I work for you. Always have. The tension snapped like a wire. Luke lunged toward me, grabbing my wrist. You think you can destroy me? No, I whispered, jerking free. You already did that yourself. Ryan appeared from the hallway, gun drawn. Step back. Luke froze, hands raised. You wouldn't shoot. Ryan's jaw tightened. Try me. Marla's voice came through the intercom. Got everything on camera. Audio, video, confession. It's over. Luke's face twisted in fury. You think this'll stop me? You can't erase me. I smiled, slow and cruel. I don't need to erase you, Luke. I just need everyone to see who you really are. The cops came before dawn. Ryan and I stood on the porch, watching as they cuffed Luke and led him to the cruiser. He turned his head just enough to spit out, "This isn't over." "It is for you," I said softly. When they drove away, the silence felt heavy, like the world had shifted. Ryan turned to me. "You okay?" I nodded, though my throat felt tight. "Yeah, just tired." He studied me for a long second, then said quietly, "You didn't just win, Diana. You survived." I looked out over the mountains, dawn breaking in streaks of pink and gold. Survival's not enough anymore. It's time to rebuild. But even as I said it, I knew the story wasn't finished. Because deep down, something told me Luke wasn't the only one who'd betrayed me. There were still layers, secrets buried under that mounting that hadn't yet come to light. And when I checked my phone later that night, one new message confirmed it. You took him down too soon. You were supposed to wait. No name, no number. Just that. My pulse spiked. Someone else had been watching. Someone who wanted Luke alive, for a reason I wasn't ready to face. The next night, the security feed caught a shadow moving through the snow, someone who shouldn't have been there. And when I saw who it was, my blood ran cold. Because not only was Luke out on bail, he wasn't alone. I didn't sleep that night. The hum of the city outside the penthouse windows mixed with the chaos inside my head. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Ryan's face, that smug grin, that condescending tone. The way he used to say, "You'd be nothing without me." He used to make me believe that. Now, I was the one holding the cards, and for once, I was going to play them. The morning came wrapped in a haze of silence. The air felt electric, charged with something big about to go down. I slipped into a black suit, tied my hair into a sleek ponytail, and stared at my reflection. My eyes didn't look broken anymore. They looked like they belonged to a woman who had nothing left to lose, and everything to gain. Caleb was waiting downstairs, leaning against the black SUV. His sleeves were rolled, tattoos showing, jaw tight. "You sure about this?" he asked, voice low, eyes locked on mine. "I've never been more sure of anything in my life," I said. "It's time." We drove to the courthouse. My divorce hearing wasn't just about papers. It was about truth, about exposure. Ryan thought he'd destroyed me emotionally and financially. What he didn't know was that I had spent the last 2 months quietly gathering everything: emails, fake accounts, property transfers, even a few dirty political donations under his name. I wasn't just leaving him, I was ending the empire he built on lies. When we walked into the courtroom, he was already there. Armani suit, fake charm turned up to 11. He turned around, smirking when he saw me. "Diana," he said softly, like he still had control, "you look expensive." "I am," I said coolly, walking past him, "and I paid for it myself." His smirk faltered for just a second. "Good." The lawyer beside me, Marissa Lane, was sharp as hell. Mid-30s, no nonsense, the kind of woman who ate egos for breakfast. She looked at me once, nodded, and whispered, "Let's take him apart." Ryan started off smooth, all crocodile tears and false humility. He told the judge I was unstable, that I had abandoned him. He even had the nerve to pull out fake screenshots of texts he'd written himself. The audacity almost made me laugh. When Marissa stood, she didn't yell. She didn't need to. Her voice was razor-sharp calm. "Your Honor," she began, "before we continue, we have new evidence. Surveillance footage, emails, and financial records." The judge frowned. "Proceed." Ryan's lawyer looked nervous. Caleb had spent weeks digging. Every hidden camera, every phone call, every smug laugh Ryan thought was private was now on display. The courtroom watched as the screen flickered to life. Ryan's voice filled the room. "She'll come crawling back. She always does. I control her. I control everything." The air went cold. My heart pounded, but I didn't flinch. Let them see. Let them all see. "That's not me," Ryan started, voice shaking, but Marissa didn't stop. "This is just the beginning." The next clip was worse. Ryan talking with a realtor about selling our joint properties under his name, funneling the money into an offshore account. The courtroom gasped. Ryan's face drained of color. "You hacked me." "Correction," I said softly, standing. "I watched you. You just didn't notice." He turned toward me, eyes wide with disbelief. "You set me up?" "No, Ryan. I just pressed play." The judge's gavel hit hard. "We're taking a recess," he said. Ryan's lawyer looked like he wanted to vanish into the floor.
Outside the courtroom, Caleb stood close. "He's done," he said. "He'll fight it," I replied, my voice steady. "He'll dig, scream, threaten, but he's finished." "You're shaking," Caleb said, reaching out gently. "You okay?" "Not yet," I whispered, "but I will be." That night, I got the call. Ryan was arrested for fraud, tax evasion, and witness intimidation. I should have felt vindicated, but instead I felt empty. Revenge doesn't erase pain. It just paints it in new colors. I sat by the penthouse window, watching snow fall over Denver, soft and quiet. Caleb walked in, 2 mugs of coffee in hand. "You did it," he said. I gave a small smile. "Yeah, guess I did. You know, you could finally take that trip you kept talking about." I turned to him. "The one I never took because Ryan said I wasn't the travel type? That's the one." I laughed softly. "You're right. Maybe it's time I find out who I am without him." He leaned against the window, his reflection beside mine. "I think you already know, Diana. You just forgot for a while."